Wise by the MPPT controller guy. Okay, so friends, welcome to a back-to-back episode of the MPPT controller reviews, where you're sitting late at night on Amazon and looking at MPPT controllers because you just love the subject, you know. And I think you're interested in it too because you are looking at this video right now. And this is an interesting controller. This is a contender to the Bateria Power 10 amp controller. So I've made a previous video. Look below. I'll probably link you to the 10 amp and maybe even the 20 amp Bateria Power controllers. So, and I'll tell you why I bought this one. Well, one of the things about this one, I think it might have been previously returned. So don't mind that it doesn't have like the little plastic on the front, because it doesn't have that. It feels like somebody played around with it a little bit. However, I don't mind. They still delivered as promised. So what is the selling point to this controller? Well, what I like about this controller is that it already has MC4 connectors on this end. So Bateria Power, listen, these guys have a good idea. Putting the MC4 connectors right on this end is really cool. So the idea with this is that you could easily take a solar panel without any adapters. Like for this thing, who the heck uses this? Please tell me below if you're using SAE connectors. And I want to ask you, why? This looks complicated and it looks like you could mess this up so easily. You have to like put in another connector. Anyways, so that's already a positive point for me on this one. That is 10 amps, has the MC4 on one end. This part is obviously going to be converted to Anderson. And what this one has that the Bateria Power doesn't have is this metal heatsink on the back. That is kind of cool. They borrowed the page from much larger and heavier hitting charge controllers by having an ability to hang this up on the wall. How amazing. I gotta watch this wall. To hang this up on the wall. That is cool. And with the heat sink, let it kind of like dissipate the heat a little bit nicer maybe than the Bateria Power. I found that with the 20 amp Bateria Power, when I was charging for like an hour or two with the 20 amps, the back of the controller got as high on the 20 amp, got as high I think as 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't worry, I think plastic only melts at like 300. So not a fire hazard. If it was above 250, maybe it would be. So yeah, I was kind of worried about it, but it was kind of like hanging mid-air like this, so like no contact with things. So this is kind of cool that this one has that. So I like that it has a simple mode button. I also like that it has a color screen to it. So far, so good. You know, when we come back to the like continuation of this video, obviously I'm going to take this connector off and I'm going to connect my famous Anderson connector. I have a whole Anderson connector making video. You should watch that, linked below, or search my YouTube for that, you know, because the Anderson connector, it's impossible to reverse it, and it could do like 30 amps without an issue on a small, beautiful little connector. Okay, so enough ranting about that. Let's see what it has here for the manual-wise. Number product manual. Hashtag product manual. Hey, Twitter. Click. My Voltset manual came. And it had a free charge controller with it. That's great. Okay. So, what do we have here? Life. Okay, Life PO4, boost charge 14.4, that's good. I'm glad it didn't have like the previous controller, how many cells I had in my thing. Low load loss, okay, 20 milliamps, I like that. System voltage, max input is minus 30. Rated solar charge current, 10 amps. Max solar input power, 130 watts. Really? Okay. Warning. So there's a bunch of warnings. Please read and follow warnings and instructions. Maximum power cannot exceed 130 watts. What does that mean? I am going to connect a 240 watt possibly giving power brick to this to simulate a solar panel. So we're going to test that. I mean, is it going to get overheated? Because you're getting a 240 watt capable connector, so don't worry. When this product is not used, please store it in a dry and ventilated place. What is this, rice? What are you talking about? Do not do not allow children to use this product. What? Oh man, there goes Timmy's Christmas gift. Keep away from fire sources. Do not. Okay, at least this is great entertainment value. Do not use product completely immersed in water. Okay, while swimming nude. Okay, do not modify the product. Any modification cause functional failure to or other dangers. Do not modify this product. Uh-oh. So MC4 to Anderson connector is a modification. Oh shit. I guess I'm not returning this. Do not use if damaged. Okay, what if it was previously returned and given to me without the thing? Okay, it's okay. Do not modify the product. Before you choose, please currently check whether the product is damaged. Do not violate for it. Okay, wow. The 15 commandments of China. Okay. Make sure the wires are firmly connected before use. Decide to charge and maintain 12-volt recharger like LiFePO4 lithium ion. LiFePO4 is lithium. Oh, okay. Lithium ion. Okay. Warranty. 12 months. During the warranty. So there's the warranty. Okay, how to install. Okay, let's see this installation part. I'm so excited about the installation. The controller is connected to the battery, then observe that the screen is lights up. Please switch for 5 seconds in the gel mode to start to click the, okay, after selecting the battery. The warning. Can only be installed, ensure air circuit cannot be installed outdoors. It is not waterproof. It is only suitable for within 130 watts. Okay. So, visual allows to monitor the working status of solar panel conditions. Perfect for various 12-volt like AGPs. Built-in protection, safety comes first. Built-in full protection, safety comes first. Temp comfort functions to withstand extreme weather, allows high efficient charging to your batteries. Okay, Voltset family. Okay, so let's connect a 240 volt supply. Let's break half the manual's statements of do not do. Make sure to drop violently. Put it in a bucket of water. I'll skip the bucket of water. Let's not do that. You know, probably not a good idea with this. The input, that's kind of cool. Do we have to connect a battery first? We'll see. So let's get some Anderson connectors to it so it actually could be usable like for people like me that are Anderson fanboys. And let's see if this can accept 240 watt input or more input, and if it actually charges like it's supposed to. It's a new contender to the market. Which one is better, the Bateria power or the Voltset? Cast your votes below and thumb up to subscribe and all that good stuff. All right, friends, so I needed to bring the contender into the arena to show you what they're like side by side. So Bateria power versus the Voltset. So side by side, definitely the Bateria power is smaller. However, this does have a bigger heat sink. The difference is kind of negligible. So just like with anything, I guess the most important part is to connect it to the battery. See, I have a discharge battery here at 11.41 volts. So I don't know if that's 1% or 2%, something ridiculously low. So I'm connecting this for the first time. Let's see what it says to the battery. 1 second. Boom. Okay. So now we have this screen. Don't worry, it's actually not flickering. It's the 60 hertz refresh rate of the camera. So in my eyes, it's a beautiful screen. So what I like already thus far from here is the nice big screen. That's a nice plus. So we set it to live. And now let's compare that connected to let's connect it to the Bateria power. So this side, which has a battery icon, connected to the battery icon. Excuse me. And now let's compare the screens over here. It too has a pretty cool screen, 11.3 volts. See, it has the live PO4 over here. It's at 25% or less here. And this, I guess, screen goes very dim after a few minutes, but I guess you could wake it up when you need to. All right, so next part of the test is that we have here, this wire over here goes down to my battery pack system. And that gets charged by a 70 amp MPPT charge controller. And this is a 10 AWG wire rated to do at least 30 amps. So these are not supposed to take more than 20 amps each. What we're trying to test with this is that, hey, can I charge one battery, this battery, from another battery that's more charged? Will it accept a charge? What is the minimum charge voltage that we need for this? Or do we need to step up the voltage to Dell Power Brick, which simulates what a solar panel would produce at 19.5 volts, you see? 19.78 volts. So now let's connect these two, and let's see if these guys will start taking charge. And if you could do more than 130 watts coming in. I think they're just trying to advertise that to not get people to think, oh, they could connect a 400 watt battery and they would actually get the full power. So now let's get that connected. What do you know? I had a comment before. Hey, why did you use a 24 like up converter, a 24 volt power brick from 13.5 to 24 volt? Because couldn't you just charge one battery from another? So the answer is no, you can't. You see, you're getting 0 amps. So far, what I'm impressed with this battery is the nice big screen. That is nice. I'm excited about this company coming up with a 20 volt version and giving Bateria power a run for its money. I think you guys would be all well off if you actually used an Anderson connector. You see the Bateria power is also 0 amps. You see 13.42, so 0 watts coming in. So that doesn't help whatsoever. Okay, that don't work. So now we have a 19.8. So that simulates a battery power. So let me explain batteries to you guys, the best of my understanding. In order for this battery to take a charge, you need 14.4 volts coming in. And then it's going to start accepting it because it's higher voltage than the thing. It has to be sufficiently much higher. So apparently 13.5, if I connected this battery directly to this, it would actually start kind of like balancing out with the other battery. However, we're just trying to test the charging situation here. So you need, for MPPT charge controllers, you probably need a minimum of, I don't know, 15, 16 volts. I don't know. I'm going to test at minimum 19.5. And then I also have a 24 volt brick. We could test it with that. So let's see what the next step with a power brick of 19.5 volts. So I actually had two similar power supplies. I have an LG that's supposedly 19.5 volts, and I have the Dell, which is supposedly 19.5 volts also. So one is going to the Bateria power, and it's doing 19.67 volts and 9.4 amps into the battery. Perfect. And now let's see this guy with a 19.89 volts. It's going into the battery, 9.9, 10.7, jumping around there. So 114, 124. So Bateria power and this one. So far, we're actually seeing that this controller is actually inputting more than 10 amps into the battery. I'm loving that screen, 10.00. So it's kind of jumping around, 19.5, 10.4, 8. Okay, so we're already at 12 volts, 116. So Bateria power is connected to number 1. Output is 116. And number 2 is doing 158 input. And let's see, how much is 1 doing? Okay. Bateria power, input 116, into the battery 106. So what is that, 90% efficiency? So, but, you know, obviously we're converting the power. We're actually putting in 131 to get 106 into the battery. So by the time, so 131, so we used 15 watts to get the power out of this guy converted to DC, 117. So we went from 135, let's say 132 to 106. We used 25 watts to get 9.4 amps, let's say. And with this one, we are actually getting 160 watts in. So 160 watts in. 134. This guy's kind of jumping around. An input of 130 in. 130. And this guy's just doing 107. Okay. Head to head, we definitely see who's actually winning in this situation. I'm just wondering why it's jumping around so much, because we do have a constant voltage supply here. I actually don't even feel it warm yet. $35, 119. So we are like 15 watts more. It is kind of jumping around, a little jumpy. This guy is staying at the 108, 107. I got a feeling that once the voltage of the battery gets higher, it's actually going to come up a little bit. Interesting. This screen is definitely selling me on this unit. I'm liking this. Compared to this guy over here, I mean, can you read that very well? And imagine trying to read that in the sun. I got a feeling this guy, even in the blazing sun, or wait, you're supposed to use this indoors and don't let the children play with it and don't slam it against things. This is kind of nice. You just set your life up to win. The jumping around, that's what I find slightly weird. 130. Now next, let's test it with 12 to 24 converter. So this is what I mean. It takes 12 volts input and 24 up to 20 amps output. So we're gonna up the voltage from the battery voltage of 1341 to 24 volts. And let's see if the higher voltage gives us a higher power output out of these units. And let's see what the voltage is coming in, how much power before this converter, at the converter, and I guess coming in. Or maybe before the converter and then coming in. That's what we're interested to see. So I destroyed another charge controller using this 24 volt, 12 volt to 24 volt up voltage regulator. So this one's charging. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. 148 and putting 133 in. So this one works. This guy twice. This is actually a second charge controller I'm having to throw out. So Bateria power, I don't know what happened here, and it actually smells like bad plastic right now. So, wow, okay. Wow. So I just destroyed two Bateria powered charge controllers. The first one, it made a spark. It blew a fuse. So what I think happened was, with this, I just checked the polarity, this correct polarity with my voltmeter. It's the same block, and I thought it was this guy's fault. However, it seems that 24 volts was too high for the Bateria power, and this guy's like 10 minutes later, I'm barely even feeling it warm over here. It is jumping around here a little bit. Maybe it's because the two were connected in parallel to these. However, I just don't understand why the Bateria power went haywire. So this guy is actually the contestant winner. Perhaps with the Bateria power, I've always tested it with the 19.5 volt bricks. I never had an issue, never connected it to a 24. I've connected the 20 amp Bateria power to these bricks. Let's just quickly connect the 24 volt, the 20 amp version to this, but maybe disconnect to this one. Yeah, wow. It stinks like really. So, so far so good. Voltset, good job on that. I'm probably going to disconnect this from power, because we might over amp it, because I have a 30 amp fuse now. It actually, the first one blew a fuse, and the second one burned itself out using this 24 volt up converter. So let's see with a 20 amp Bateria power. Well, could that be the issue? Well, we'll see if this controller is still alive after that. Maybe the issue could be was with the previous Bateria power controller, I didn't connect it to the battery first, and I connected the power first, and maybe it didn't have anywhere for the power to go. So maybe that's why all the current went into it. It short-circuited and failed, like the first one failed, and then the second one failed. So this guy is still alive. It worked with the 24 volt block. Now let's use the same block that it short-circuited on. See, this one connected to the Voltset, and let's try this 20 amp Bateria power. Am I finding out something? And if I could get it on video, that's really important. Output. Okay, let's make sure we're connecting it right. Let's connect this end and then connect to the other end. Okay, friends. So with a 20 amp controller, I know I've previously charged like this battery, maybe even with this Bateria Power 20 amp controller. However, I did test a power heat on this, maybe even 180 degrees. It still kind of stinks in here. Let's see if this thing is going to be alive. I mean, I just put some eyeglasses protection on. Maybe it's these charge controller, these up voltage regulators. Let's just see. Like, are you going to be alive? Like, so we're doing the input. Okay, I have my glasses protection on. So the 20 amp is accepting and nothing is burning out. So that's, I guess, what I realized is with the Bateria Power contenders, where when it comes to the voltage of being up to 30 volts of the 10 amp, so this is guy getting 19 volts in. So power wise, how much is getting the power in? So it's taking 310 in and getting into the battery 269, 270. So what's the efficiency? So the efficiency is we converted the 12 like 13.5 to 24, and now we're getting this into the battery pack of 269. So now we know that the 20 amp works. So that's the similar solution with the 20 amp, is that you can put a screw through here. However, it doesn't have that heat sink, and the back gets really extremely hot, especially after a couple hours. I've charged before with the 24 volt. So Bateria Power with the 10 amp controllers, I mean, this guy is definitely in for the win. I'm going to disconnect the Bateria Power. Apparently on the Bateria Power website, it says you can connect the solar panel first and then the battery. However, I'm not gonna try to press my luck. So this guy works, and now, which one was, oh, so this one was connected before to this one. So let's just switch up the power blocks. I mean, if it was the power block that destroyed the Bateria Power, then it would have been this one. So now let's see this guy. Input power is going up. So this power brick is actually fine, the power up converter. So we're getting 146, 120, 142 through one. Dang, it still stinks in here from the other one. So Bateria Power against the Voltset. You are the heavyweight champion of the world. This, I kind of don't appreciate this jumping around, even though I'm getting a constant voltage. However, what I do appreciate is that after all this time, I could barely even feel any heat coming in. And we could actually definitely measure that we are getting 137 watts in and 152 before I guess the conversion. Maybe there is a conversion loss of maybe 5% here. And then, so like 20 watts is used to convert the stuff. We're getting to 10.2 amps. So conclusions, friends. The Voltset is better than the Bateria Power. It has a beautiful screen. You can mount this on the wall. It truly can accept the 24 volt that you could input into it. How many solar panels? If the Bateria Power, I just never connected it to a higher, probably than a 20 volt source. And this is a good test. I'm glad I tested it, because a power brick like this you might use maybe with a higher voltage panel, because the input on these power bricks is maybe between 12 I think and 30 volts, something like that. So you could use it, I think, or maybe up to even 36 volts. So you could use that to either step up or step down whatever voltage is of the solar panel. So let's say if you have a 30 volt solar panel, you could step it down to the 24 volts to be able to use it with a charge controller like this. So heat wise, this is great. The screen is fantastic. It didn't burn out like the Bateria Power, which is like amazed me. I just turned the fan on. I'm like trying to air this place out. However, 2 charge controllers, I burned both of them out because of the 24 volts. So friends, Voltset, I give you 2 thumbs up. I mean, so far it's working. It does jump around a little bit with this input current, like you see, 10.7, 97, but it's not dropping below 100 watts. So it's jumping up to 143. It is accepting more than 130 watts input because this guy could do up to 450 watts. As we found out with the burned out with the charge controllers that did burn out, that blew a fuse. So obviously more than 40 amps started going into it because the fuse was set at 40 amps. And with this one, and with this 20 amp controller, I didn't blow the fuse, which is set at 30 amps. So friends, thumb up and like the video, because if I didn't test this, then you would have to test this yourself, and you would think that 30 volts is 30 volts. But if all your life you were using these 19.5 volts, less than 20 volts with that charge controller, then I would have never known. But now that I've used the 24 with this one before, I know I've charged up a battery, so this is why I tested the 10 amp first. And so 2 down, so 2 contestants try to attack this guy head to head, and the Voltset won. It won with the feature set with the MC4 connectors, and it won also having that beautiful screen. Good job, Voltset. This heatsink on the back is nice, having the metal heatsink. Good job, Voltset. I double finger thumb up. And so friends, I'll see you in the next one. And yeah, like and subscribe. Put your comments below. I'm just wow. Yeah, let's see your commentary. I'm still alive. Thank God. Okay, friends. See you in the next one.